Hey, Todd.
Howdy.
How's it going? Welcome to AWS On Air for this week.
Yeah, thanks. Hey, I am actually broadcasting here live from Seattle for the first time ever. I am in the Oscar Studios here in Seattle at the AWS headquarters, Amazon headquarters. First time I've ever been here, and I can tell you what, the people here have been so nice and been hooking me up with a great space to broadcast from. So I'm super pumped to do this show.
It's really the perfect time of year to go to Seattle too, because it's a little chilly, so you feel like it's fall, even if at home it's like a little warm.
Well, I'm not actually here for work, which is typically why I would ever come to Seattle. I'm here to see a dear friend this weekend, but I did not want to miss today's stream. I have the guest, a very special guest, somebody who I work with very closely as part of the AWS Solutions Library team. We're going to be showcasing a solution today, which is very exciting for me.
Amazing. I'm excited to hear more about it and to get into the weeds of what you get to work on a lot of the time. I think first, though, maybe let's do a little intro. Say welcome, everyone, to AWS On Air. We are here every Friday going over new solutions, new product releases, all sorts of different announcements. Different teams come on and give us live demos. We are very much live, and I'm sure we'll prove that to you throughout this episode, as I usually do to the audience. But we are live, and we are here to talk about all sorts of things. But also, Todd, we have weekly shows in addition to AWS On Air. Which one is your favorite weekly show?
Well, it's most definitely going to have to be the AWS On Air Sports Show. I'm a big sports fan. I play sports. I watch sports. And now I'm learning about how AWS is innovating in sports. So I'm all in on the sports show that's hosted by our dear producer, Nick Betts, who hosts that show, I believe, on Wednesdays. I don't have the show schedule up.
Yeah, you can check our schedule on Twitch every week. We're showing what's coming, what's happened. All of these episodes get saved to our Twitch channel. So if you like it that much, you can always go back and rewatch an episode. I think some of my favorites have been startups with Jillian and the game day focus that AM and sometimes Jasmine also are on, that goes over AWS game days, which are like real life scenarios, but with points and with chaos in the AWS account. It's always been some of my favorite exercises to do on different teams that I've been on at AWS. And so it's just a lot of fun to watch them have fun playing each other and, see who wins each week.
That's right. And AM's such a great host. He makes that show so fun. So it's always an entertaining watch. So definitely check out that one. And then we have a new data dive show that's all about data. I think it's relatively new still. I got to catch a few episodes of that, but that's an exciting one. I know data is increasingly becoming the topic of conversation, especially when we talk about generative AI, which is what we'll be talking about today. Again, so yeah, check out the data dive show too.
Definitely. We also have Lockdown, which is about security, and Under the Hood with Art, where he dives into kind of like what we do on AWS On Air with new releases. But instead of that 20 minutes that we give different teams to do short demos, they get really into the weeds with the product teams, which I think is also such a valuable way to balance out, different content. If you see a 100 level on AWS On Air, you want to go to 400 level, make sure to check the schedule with Art, where you're seeing Under the Hood on our AWS Twitch channel. So before we bring a guest on, I think it's almost time. I'm smelling pumpkin outside, and I'm just like so excited for fall.
I'm very excited for fall. Definitely one of my favorite seasons. So I'm from Michigan, and so I'm one of the weird people that likes winter, because winter for me meant hockey season. It's time to play hockey. It's time to watch hockey. The lakes freeze over. Mm-hmm. Where I live now in Pittsburgh, that doesn't happen so much anymore. But fall's great. Winter's slightly better for me.
I don't know. I kind of love fall. And as we're saying this, it's reminding me, I want to see where everyone's chiming in from today. So we have all sorts of viewers. I think we're on the US homepage today. So if you're in the US, tell us which state you're chiming in from. Tell us if it's fall or not, where you're getting your pumpkin beverages, if you're feeling the fall air already.
Have the leaves started falling? Do you use the term leafer peepers? That's what I want to know.
I didn't know there was an ER at the end. I thought it was just leaf peeping.
I think that's the action. The people who do that are peepers?
They're leafer peepers. I don't know about that one. It's taken it a step too far. Okay, so.
Shall we bring our host on? Yeah, but no, you're right. I want to know where you're from. Do the lakes freeze over? I mean, just tell us. Tell us about you. Tell us about your experience with AWS. Tell us about shows that you've watched and what you want to hear. We're going to be live, so get some questions queued up because we're getting ready to bring on our first guest.
Yes. So, Todd, you know him well. Do you want to give a short intro before we bring him on screen?
Sure. I'll save most of it for the conversation with him, but bringing on Ajay. Ajay and I work on what we call the AWS Solutions Library team here. We develop and curate solutions for folks to use. They're open source. You can go to the AWS Solutions Library at aws.amazon.com/solutions. Really easy. But I'll let Ajay talk more about that. Should we bring him on?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Hello. Hey,
hello. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing well.
Welcome to the show. I was just saying just before we came into this segment that you and we actually know each other pretty well. I mean, AWS is such a massive organization. So there's so many different people. You meet new people all the time. But Ajay, we have a history. Since I started at AWS, we've been working together on solutions.
That's right. That's right. Awesome. And by the way, Todd is a great guy to know. He's funny sometimes, but he's also pretty talented.
Yes, sometimes I'm funny. I don't know about the talented part, but hey, why don't you introduce yourself and then we can start talking about our topic today.
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Ajay Swami. I've been with AWS for 4 years. I lead product for AWS Solutions, specifically focused on generative AI and AI ML. And today we'll be talking about one of my very favorite solutions. It's called Generative AI Application Builder. I'm going to talk to you through a little bit about the solution, what the solution does, its value prop, and then we'll do a quick demo. And then if you have time for questions, I don't know if we have time for questions, Todd, but we'll definitely go through the demo.
Oh, we're going to ask questions as they come in. Go ahead, Gigi.
I was going to say, there's always time for questions. There's no bad questions unless they're from Todd. And we want to have your questions in the chat because we can ask them real time. Use this opportunity to pick both of these AWS Solutions professionals' brains about generally AWS Solutions, but also this generative AI opportunity that I think I'm excited to learn more about. You guys already kind of know both about it. So before we get going, can you give us a breakdown? Where did AWS Solutions come from? I know they've been around for a while because I remember them from over the years, and they've changed. They've taken different directions on how we offer them. Where are we now? Where did we come from? What is it?
Yeah, so AWS Solutions started before my time, but the genesis of it was that solution architects in the field, they saw common problems and common patterns that customers were facing. So we thought, hey, look, instead of having to go to each individual customer and having to solve that from scratch, let's stitch together solutions that can actually solve a very specific business or a technical problem. And then we took that and we sort of productized it and we put it in the solutions library. So now customers can go there directly, they can deploy them through self-service, and then they can be up and running in a matter of minutes to solve for very unique business cases and also horizontal technology use cases.
Yeah, Ajay, it has been around for a while, and I know that too because I've actually used solutions. Before I was at AWS, I was a software developer. I consulted, I worked with companies, and I used the AWS Solutions Library because my thinking was, I want to know how AWS does it. If the experts at AWS are saying this is how you should solve for this, then I'm going to listen. One of those areas was IoT. I wanted to learn IoT, but I didn't know a lot of IoT. So I went to the Solutions Library. There were a few solutions in there. One was instrumental in helping me learn just the basic building blocks of how IoT services came together to build out. Once I got some familiarity with that, customers started asking me more. I started getting the expertise internally in my head. And then all of a sudden we were winning IoT workloads, and it was fundamentally based on that solution. So huge value just in learning AWS, but also these are production ready things, right? People can deploy them into their account and use them as is.
Absolutely. And look, I think it would be amiss if I didn't say that these are well architected. It's built by AWS experts, architects, software development engineers. It's open source, it's secure, it comes with an implementation guide, comes with demo videos. And again, let me just say one more time, it's secure and it's open source, right? So you could literally go to GitHub and then you could take that as a building block or an accelerator and start to customize it for your own needs. Or maybe you don't have to. And we'll go through all of that today.
Yeah, that's right. We want to make it easy. We want to make it faster. We want to make it just like easier to get out into your use case and deploy it. You don't have to start from scratch and reinvent the wheels. You can start with a solution, extend it. Ajay, I was going to ask about today's solution specifically. So this is one of the solutions that you'll find in the Solutions Library. Can you talk a little bit about which one we're going to see today?
Yeah, so today we're going to talk about Generative AI Application Builder, right? What this is an AWS solution that allows you to very quickly put together a RAG architecture, which is a retrieval augmented generation architecture, which is where you can connect to a data source and query that data source in natural language. And you can do that very quickly without having to code, number one. And number two, you can deploy it into your production environment, which means it's already tested, it's already secure. And again, you can do all of that without having to worry about what the underlying code is, what the integration is. And it does that through using LangChain and AWS Lambda underneath. And look, if you want to take and if you want to dive deep, you can do that also on your own, but we do that for you here.
That's nice. I appreciate the fact that, we've thought about how we can make this well architected, but also make it simple enough that it performs, complicated enough that it performs, simple enough to start using right away. We do have about 10 minutes left of time with you. So let's dive in. Let's see the demo. And can you tell us more about it while you walk us through?
Well, actually, while Ajay's bringing his screen up, I want to ask the audience: have you heard of the AWS Solutions Library? Have you used the solution? Is there a favorite solution? Check it out right now. Ask a question. We know a lot about some of the other solutions in there too, so it doesn't have to be Generative AI Application Builder, but that's the one we're going to show. Ajay, you got your screen ready to roll?
Yep, it is sharing. There we go. All right, fantastic. Great. So, folks, this is the Generative AI Application Builder landing page. So here you have the overview of the solution. It tells you about the benefits. There are all of the great technical details. It gives you the architecture diagram. You have the implementation guide here. And even though it's open source, by the way, I have to tell you that, there is a cost here, which is the cost for using the AWS services underneath. However, the code and the logic and the UI that we've built, that's all open source, right? Okay. So now what you can do is very quickly, you can just click on Launch in AWS Console, and that's going to bring you to your CloudFormation form. And you can quickly go through the CloudFormation form, set up all of the details. There's the S3 URL here with your CloudFormation template. You can click Next. I'm not going to go through all of this, but very quickly, you can enter a stack name. You can provide your user email. And once you set that up and click Next and you hit Verify, what this will do in the background is it's going to set up all of the infrastructure and the services to get this application ready and running for you. And then you'll get an email in your account with your username and password, and you'll be able to log on to a deployment dashboard. And we'll go through the deployment dashboard in a second. Any questions so far, Todd or Gigi?
Yeah, I think
I just want to call out.
We're both.
Wait.
Right.
My mission went out and a lot of oops here. Go ahead, Gigi.
Yeah, I think your studio is cutting in and out on us. I was going to ask, so you spin these up, right? Like you said, you will get charged for everything that is spun up because it is a resource. There are some free tiers always with AWS with certain resources, but you will get charged. And it looks like you guys have actually already put that into documentation, which is super helpful. Yep. When you spin them up, you can still see those resources and interact with them within any AWS service as if you had spun it up yourself, even though it was done through CloudFormation? or are they like locked away in a bubble somewhere?
No, this is all very transparent. You could do that
Okay.
through billing. You can actually go to the AWS console. You could go to that specific service
You still
and
see
see
it.
what's happening underneath, right?
That's-
You have
yeah,
full control and full transparency underneath. Nothing is hidden.
got it. So I think that's really interesting because this could be a base for something that you build.
That's
more.
exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yeah, the extensibility. So this is just a recap. So we went to the solutions landing page to find all the details about the solution, how to implement it, how to customize it. And then we launched directly with a single click in it. If you're already logged into your AWS account, it launched up CloudFormation. Now, there's some parameters that you can configure, right? Certain solutions, if you've already got existing services that you want to integrate into, say a VPC already deployed, you want this launched into your VPC, we can enable that on some of the solutions. But once you hit run on that thing and it's done, you get some outputs. What are those outputs?
Yeah. So once you sort of once you get that email with the login information and the unique URL, you are brought to this page, right? This is sort of the overall interface for the Generative AI Application Builder. And what you can see here is that this is the landing page where it allows you to deploy a new use case. When we say new use case, what I'm really saying here is it allows you to deploy a new generative AI application into your production account. So let's actually walk through that. I think it'll be really helpful, right? So I'm going to click on deploy new use case. And right now we have text. In the future, we'll have some multimodal use cases coming up. For now, I'm going to give it a quick name. I'm going to say, financial analysis. Excuse my spelling there. And then we'll just give it an email address and a description. And then, yes, I also want to deploy a UI for the use case. I'm going to click on next. And then for this, I'm not going to use a VPC because I don't have a VPC set up, but let's go past that. But you can see now how there's options for you to set up what you want to, right? It's not controlled in any way.
Yeah, I just want to clarify something as we walk through this.
Yeah.
So you're walking through a configuration in a dashboard. So the CloudFormation template launched this dashboard. So this dashboard is running on AWS services. And the purpose of the dashboard is so that you can launch different use cases for different things. Say you wanted to do a RAG implementation for financial analysis, but later you wanted to do a RAG based on some other index of data. You can segment those two different use cases. So this is really a management application. And then that previous screen, you said, I want to deploy a UI. I imagine you're going to get to that UI, but there's such a
100%.
concept that deploying it without a UI. And why would you do that?
So you could deploy without a UI, in which case you'll have access to APIs, and you could build your own UI on top. So that's the beauty of it. You could use your existing UI, or you could customize the UI based on your branding and your own sort of assets.
So this solution includes those APIs already developed for you.
That's correct. That's correct.
Nice.
So very quickly, right? So here you can pick your model provider either through Bedrock or SageMaker. With SageMaker, you can bring your own LLMs. You can bring the best and the greatest from Hugging Face, for example. Or you can just go to Bedrock, which is all managed for you, and you can pick a model. We have all of the latest models here that are available on Bedrock. So here I'm just going to pick Claude 3 Sonnet. And I'm going to leave this as on demand, right? Like we're just doing a demo here. But if you really want like high provision, you have a lot of users coming in and using this application, you can always go for provisioned. Advanced temperature in terms of tuning the accuracy, et cetera. You can always set those up. You can also enable guardrails. Guardrails are really useful for you to filter out harmful content, mask out PII information, all of that great stuff, right? So I'm not going to do any of that right now. I'm just going to click on next. And here, this is the beauty, right? This is the value prop here. This is retrieval augmented generation. Definitely want to enable that. So I'm going to click on yes. And you have two ways. The first is through Amazon Kendra, where you can actually upload documents. You can index those and you can query those documents. The other one is Bedrock Knowledge Base. So there you can actually go to the Bedrock console and create a knowledge base. So if I go to Bedrock here very quickly, right, I can go to knowledge bases. And here you can see that I have some knowledge bases already created. So if I just click on that.
And was that created with the CloudFormation, or those are separate? So
this is separate. So you'll have to go through Bedrock console. And again, this is all in the implementation guide, right? It'll tell you exactly how to do that. And
Okay.
it's very easy. It's like point and click. It's very it's easy for you to actually crawl a website and index that website, right? You can also upload documents, a lot of great things. But once you do that, I've already configured some of the data sources here. So I'm going to click, I'm going to copy that knowledge base ID, and all I have to do is come back here and just populate that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to leave the rest of the stuff as is, but you can actually tweak the temperature, you can actually tweak the relevancy and all that great stuff. You can also filter by metadata if you wanted to. So for example, if you wanted to, if you had 5 different kinds of documents and one was around music, the other one was around financial statements, you could actually add metadata to that and actually filter based on that, which is very useful as well. And you can click on next. And here you can customize your prompt in terms of the prompt length, your actual prompt template, and also in terms of what your history should be, because this application also allows you to maintain a history of the previous conversation. And you want to maintain how many of those multi-turn conversations you want to maintain that goes back. So when you say something like, oh, Humpty Dumpty had a great fall, and then you ask another question that says, how bad was Humpty Dumpty's fall? It knows how to refer back to the original context. I could go back 20 conversations to the past. And then you click on next. You have a confirmation, and then you deploy a use case. So I'm not going to do that right now, but I'm going to go back to that main deployment dashboard. And I'm going to show you, for example, one of the ones that I've already deployed. So I'm going to click on this very simple thing called chat data sources. You can see it's already been created here. And by the way, it also comes with this CloudWatch dashboard, right? So you can actually look at everything in terms of performance. So I'm going to go back here. And give me 1 second.
While you're pulling this up, I just want to recap some things, right? So this dashboard was deployed into your account, and then you used it to configure how you want to launch a generative AI text use case with RAG. We've talked about generative AI on the show before, so we're going to actually augment any data retrieval through the LLM with this index once we've indexed our data. And so now that's going to go off and deploy that use case into your AWS account. And so now we can pull up that UI you were talking about earlier.
That's exactly right. And when you see this link here, open application, by the way, Todd, this is a great point that you just made. This is actually deployed in your AWS account. This is actually a usable production-ready application. So now this RAG implementation, by the way, I've uploaded some financial statements from Amazon. So I could just say, what were Amazon's revenues for Q2? And hopefully,
publicly available information.
What's that?
I said this is publicly available information that we've uploaded.
That's exactly
right. And there it is.
There you go. Right. And you can actually get deeper, right? You can ask some really deep questions that can say, hey, out of this revenue, what did AWS generate? Or like, what did Prime generate? So if it's public, if it's in that document, you'll be able to query that information. And also, I'm not going to show this right now. You can upload multiple financial statements and actually compare those across companies. So it's really powerful stuff.
Yeah, it's very cool, Ajay. So we've got like just a minute left. I want to make sure we touch on the key aspects of what we showed here. And by the way, folks, if you're familiar, I believe LangChain is the technology behind this scene. So if you're curious on how to orchestrate LLMs and knowledge bases and indexes using LangChain, this is a good solution to do that with. But Ajay, anything else we want our audience to know before we sign off here?
No, I would say go to the landing page, deploy the application, play around with it. And look, we have a very rich future roadmap coming up with multimodal use cases where you'll be able to do image analysis, image generation. And I'll tell you what, Todd, like one of my customers is a news organization, right? And they have different creative departments. And they have multiple instances of this application deployed. One for editorial, one for sports, one for comics. So you can see how it can be useful for different news analysts to actually use this for their own use cases.
Yeah, Ajay, you said something that I think is really important. These solutions are actively maintained. You are making enhancements regularly to these things and listening to customer feedback, working backwards from the customer as we do here at AWS. And we're actually improving these solutions with an engineering team in-house here. So you're going to get more value downstream and not having to write the code. So that's a really cool thing.
We have a fully dedicated engineering team. We have full-time PMs. We have full-time designers. We have full-time DevOps. But we actually look after this. It's an end-to-end product lifecycle management.
That's awesome. Hey, thanks, Ajay, for coming on and showing us a really cool AWS solutions. If you want to learn more, go to
I think we just cut
We
out
lost him, but
Solutions. If you
we lost him for a sec, but we'll put the link in the chat. It was so great chatting with you. Todd will be back in just a second. We are a live show, and we had to prove it. But thank you so much, Ajay. This is really exciting, and as the chat will prove, we've got some good excitement showing there, and from the customers that have been able to use this so far.
Awesome. Thanks, Errol.
Yeah. Bye. Thank you. All right, so that was awesome. Todd is back. We lost you, but we found you. And he's going to come in and out for a minute, it seems, but that's okay. We'll get through it. I thought that was so cool. I'm really excited about how we continue to deliver solutions. Solutions has come a long way from a long time that it's been offered, but it continues to add more and more customer value and stay at the forefront of what we're trying to offer our customers. And I think that's really where the value add comes in, that you guys are already offering things that that customers do need and want to use, and maybe have leadership goals that are coming down from elsewhere or from above that say, we want to implement chatbots, we want to implement generative AI. How can we do this? And teams can have quick wins and exciting new developments just with the solutions.
Have I stabilized online here? I know this is a live show, and I am broadcasting. Yeah, I'm someplace I'm not normally at. I'm actually at the AWS offices today in a green room, so I'm not in my normal state back home in Pittsburgh. So
that our office is giving you touch and go internet is
but
really
I wanted to mention something. This is just another way that AWS is working backwards from customers, right? We're hearing what are the most pressing challenges. Here are the use cases. We're prioritizing those, and we're saying, great, we're going to build something to solve for that, and we're going to make it available to our customers. There's a question in here asking, is the solutions team dedicated to building example best practice apps for every service at AWS? Seems like a fun role. I can tell you, yes, it's a very fun role, getting to solve problems with AWS. It's an awesome role. So yes, it is fun. I don't know that our goal is to solve for every service. We want to look at this from a use case. What are the challenges? And if a service happens to be the right service for that particular use case, we definitely want to use it. We want to show our customers how to use AWS and then give them that code. They are well-architected applications, so they do conform to best practices as we've defined them. But yeah, I wouldn't say every service, but the right service.
Yeah, we're definitely getting there with using most of the services. I think also where it comes into play is the services that are true Lego blocks that need to be put together. That's where solutions shines, is those. So as we've enjoyed this content, we want everyone to keep enjoying the content. And as always, we have a survey. We would love everyone to take. The first 20 respondents will get specifically $19 in AWS credits. So please fill out the survey. Our producers read these. We want to know what you want to hear about, and we want to know what you want to see for the rest of this season of AWS On Air, right? We've got episodes all the way until reInvent in November or December this year. And we want to keep that content fresh. We want to keep it interesting, and we need survey answers that you'll get credits for if you answer them.
Yeah, that's right. And if you've been watching the show for a few episodes, you'll remember that I committed to writing a metal song from a hypothetical metal band that we created a few episodes back called Goat Man. And if we get over 100 respondents, I think it was 100, Nick will have to correct me. If we get over 100, I will co-write and record a metal song for the show.
I love that.
Maybe
if we get over 1,000, which we have more than 1,000 viewers today, if we get over 1,000, I'll bring my trumpet from my middle school days to reInvent, and I will play the trumpet on the floor of the convention center.
Oh wait, there we go. So I think metal song, maybe a trumpet solo at 1,000. If we can get a trumpet, I'll have to figure out how to blend that in. But I think we could do it.
Yes,
So
exactly.
we at reInvent, if we get over 1,000, that's a lofty goal, but I'm encouraged by how many people are watching right now. I think we can do it.
I think we can do it. So now that we've gotten through survey, we've gotten through our really awesome live demo, we actually have a word from our sponsors. So let's take a look at what they're going over today.
Yeah, let's check it out.
Hey folks, welcome to another episode of AWS On Air. My name is Adrian San Miguel. I'm a principal partner enterprise architect here at AWS, and today I'm joined with some very interesting folks that I think you're going to be talking about, showing, and telling about some of the solutions they've built with us, as well as our friends over at NVIDIA. Today, I'm joined by Kevin and Tara. Say hey, folks.
Hello.
Hi.
Now, random question, and to put you on the spot, are you a dog person or a cat person? Would like
5 cats. 5 cats.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got one for the cat. Call.
I hate dogs.
Oh, we're gonna go out.
I like cats too.
Wow, I am not a cat person whatsoever. I have a long story and history of being bitten on the leg by cats as a kid at my grandma's, so I kind of fell team dog. A little more earlier than I probably should have, but I digress. We're not here to talk about that today. Today, we are here to talk about how you folks at Rescale were able to come together with NVIDIA and AWS to build something pretty cool. And would love to hear, for the benefits of our audience that may not be familiar with NVIDIA and what you do, would love to hear in your own words what it is that you're doing, why you think this is so cool.
Yeah, I can take that one. So Rescale builds and offers a high-performance computing platform for engineers and scientists, and we make it really easy for them to do their research. So if you think about it, if you're designing a new car or designing new pharmaceuticals, before you start building physical prototypes or running drug trials, you'll typically do a lot of computer modeling and simulation. It's much faster and much more cost-effective to iterate on designs when you're using simulations or AI.
Yeah.
However, building and orchestrating a high-performance computing technology stack to run these simulations, it's really complex. You have to consider everything from all the applications, all the computing hardware that's needed, everything in the middle. What Rescale does is we take all that complexity and we abstract it down in simple point-and-click user interface. It just makes it really easy for those engineers and scientists to go do their work. They don't have to be IT professionals.
That's something I think everybody can appreciate. You know, you're saying, hey, we got to go procure, we got to figure this out. I remember back in my knock days, and my knuckle will still bear the scars of it, of the racking and stacking quick, because we had to go run a prototype, or we got to do a demo, we got a new customer running online. And I remember that lag being anywhere between a couple of weeks to multiple months, depending on what we got and where it was coming from. Now, to be able to take that burden and just completely schlep it off to the side and just focus on pushing the button and going and getting a thing done, I got to say, it's pretty transformational.
Yeah, we agree. We've been in this business for 13 years now, and we're built on AWS. Our customers run lots of their simulations on AWS and the latest hardware architectures. And yeah.
Very cool. Now, I've got another tough trivia question for you, and this is something that my inner nerd always loves to postulate on and argue with folks here. When would you use high-performance computing over generative AI, or is there a place for both of them in an individual workload? Or is it just that kind of, it depends sort of answer?
Oh, I'll take that one. So I have a lot of customers who are dealing with exactly that. And, sometimes they'll even show me slides like where they would have generative AI and they're replacing that. They're just cutting that out with like heuristics that make sense in a specific case that they're looking at. But they're able to use a platform like Rescale to achieve, massive parallelism, to do all of their tests in parallel. So they're still getting speed up. It's just not, and even with GPUs, sometimes it just depends. It really is about what they're trying to accomplish and how and what's the best way to do that at the level of the science at that particular time. So, certain fields are more advanced in the use of generative AI, but not everyone. And so, sometimes like take these same ideas that you might take for drug discovery and apply them to material science. And no, you're using just good old fashioned AI algorithms, or maybe just heuristics. So we can accommodate anything.
That's pretty awesome to hear. And admittedly, as a self-appointed / kind of forced to be Gen AI SME on my teams recently, I'm not an expert, and I'm still trying to figure this out. And the more I talk to customers and partners, they too are trying to figure this out. It's to better understand when you would use one or another. And I think it's kind of forcing a bit of a reckoning where everybody is having to come back to the table and kind of be humble and say, yeah, I don't understand. Help me figure this out. This is a better way. But if both of you are kind of saying the exact same thing of, we've got a thing that helps demystify and make the better decision for you, so you can just get right at building the thing and discovering and learning and kind of scratching the curiosity itch. I gotta say, that's pretty phenomenal, to be able to break it down to that level of the lowest common denominator, so that people just show up with the problem, get to working the answer, then leave having learned a couple things. I could say that's very commendation worthy. Congrats.
Thanks.
So I've come to understand you might have a little demo, and we would be honored to get to that. Is there anything else that you would want folks to know before we jump into that, though? Tell us a little about what the demo is going to be doing.
Yeah, well, I'll be happy to show a demo. Let me share my screen. This is a demo of BioNeMo, which is a technology put forth by NVIDIA, and it is running on NVIDIA GPUs powered by AWS under the hood. So you can see how we take this entire technology stack and make this simple to use, so that you don't have to know how to put these things together in AWS natively. We do this for you. So yeah, it's now, I have to say too, I'm not a Gen AI expert. So what I did was basically look at the quick start guide from NVIDIA, which is awesome. And it told me exactly how to get started with a little pre-training example, but that's what you're going to see. So I'll just, for reference, there is this little quick start guide that NVIDIA has put together on BioNeMo. And I'll run through quickly, how we do this here. So I have a job running. So you can see like the punchline is it's achieved, before I even start, but I'll just walk you through how you would create this from scratch. So everyone asks about GPUs. So I'll start there.
Yeah.
This is creating a new job. So here, what you can see is focusing on the fabulous set of NVIDIA GPUs that we have. You can pick what you need with whatever interconnect you need, for your purpose. So maybe you need a really powerful GPU. Maybe you just need something smaller, to run GROMACS or some other application that has nothing to do with generative AI, but is just molecular modeling or something like that. And you can pick from there.
If I may, it's pretty fantastic to see that drop down and, kind of really show what's under the hood. Some people maybe may have an excess of affinity, for lack of a better descriptor, to an older type of GPU model, or maybe it's the right one for that particular job, but being able to still have that flexibility, I think that's pretty cool.
Absolutely. There's a lot along that performance spectrum. So, and then I'll just show you, like, if you select a particular core type, if you're trying to do this sort of training at scale, you'll need multiple GPUs, and they will need a fast interconnect. So just to show you without actually starting the job, just to give you an idea, you can start ratcheting up the number of nodes that you want. And assuming that you can get those, if you have those GPUs available to you at the time that you're trying to run, the cluster will start with the correct networking configuration. When Kevin was saying we try to make this easy for you, that's part of it, right? All of the networking fabric, making sure that MPI connectivity is set up correctly for, direct connect and CUDA. All the drivers are all in place. All of that is done by us to make sure that that works. So,
as someone that recently kind of helped a peer set up CUDA drivers within the last few weeks, actually, has greatly appreciated, and that was like 4 hours of my life I will never get back. So if we can get that link thrown into the chat, that'd be awesome. That'd be good for me selfishly to have that to dog here. But I'm sorry, I digress.
Sorry, which link did you want? The
NVIDIA Quick Start would be fantastic.
NVIDIA Quick Start. Okay, so I'll just grab that and put that in here.
Great, thank you.
Yep, absolutely. So I'll just pick, like, let's just do, one node here. And then let me go to the software. So here you can see that, like, yeah, I've got the NGC catalog, but I've also got a lot of other things, right? So there's 1,000 plus applications here for all different domains of science and engineering that Rescale supports. So when I click, for example, on NGC catalog, you can see for each of these applications, we kind of have a template that shows you, what's in the quick start, like, what do you need to run? What do you need to do? And the first things here, basically, you need to pull the container and then you need to run it with the right options. Okay. So this is where I will fill in, my my container. Let's go there. And then my run command. Okay. I have a little script which will go through the two commands to pull the data and do the training. So this is the BioNemo script. It looks a bit scary, but it's all from that doc. So, and then you need an NGC key and you need NOR code. So these are here, and I guess because it's recorded, I won't pull them to show you, but it does save, like, my previous value. For example, I just won't show my key here. So you have to edit that out later. But that is how you set this job up. And then for any inputs, I can upload the files that I want from my computer and load them up and then go. And you see, I can submit, there's SLAs that are provided for certain instance types and things like that. GPUs, as everyone knows, are a little harder to get. So it might be a little bit longer before you're able to find one. But now it's going to start. It won't run because I haven't put my key in there, but I can show you the running one. Yeah. And yeah. So the other thing I want to point out too is, like, under the hood here, this is all AWS EC2 instances. Yeah. Those files I uploaded, those are going to S3 object storage. Okay. And if you need, like, a lot of storage, fast, high performance file system, we support FSX Lustre. So you don't even have to even attach it. It's just going to be there for you. So you can start your cluster and it will be there across your entire workspace. So everybody can collaborate and share data across all of that. And so that's really, it's done transparently and kind of in the way that makes sense. So
yeah, absolutely makes sense. If hey, I've got an EKS cluster, I need to be able to attach this to, say, that Lustre file system and start munging out things. Being able to do that and just kind of like hand that commonplace dumping ground, for lack of a descriptor, that's huge. I remember the old, MS SQL, hey, here's our scratch space, or hey, this is where the backup of the databases or the flat files are going. This is on a much more sophisticated and really cool scale, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's what everybody wants. I'm going to quote you on that. The dumping ground. That's exactly it. Yeah, I keep telling people that. But anyway, just to highlight here, this is training slowly because this is a V100 that I did it because it was just, I set it up before and it's a cheaper thing. So, but you can see that you're getting a live tail on the Unix tail commands, of the log files and the output as this goes. If you don't like this, we also have ways to bring up a workstation, so you can have a graphical user interface using nice DCV, for example. Another great technology from AWS, and you can also bring up a Jupyter notebook and work interactively with a Jupyter notebook to do your training and stuff. So it just depends, how you like to access it, what way you want to do it. A lot of people like the batch approach just because they're trying to maximize the use of the compute time and don't want to pay for a cluster to be up while you're doing things interactively. But otherwise, that's it.
Awesome. And, kind of chuckle at the end there, wanting to maximize the time and do things in batches. Like to bring that to, my own notoriously bad attempts at sometimes multitask. You want to make the most of the time, so you just go and use the right thing for it so that you get your time back and you can go and focus on the other things instead of sitting there hitting X a bunch of times or just running things in serial. I mean, that's pretty awesome. Well done.
Good.
Awesome.
Glad you
So,
like the demo.
yeah, it's great. So if I'm a curious person and want to continue to learn more and do more, where can I go get more information? Would love anything that you can share with us in the audience as a parting thought.
I'll let Kevin take that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can visit our site, www.rescale.com, and you can, on the site, you can fill out a form to get in touch with a member of our team, request a demo, and that's probably the easiest way for a broad audience to sort of start engaging with us.
Okay, awesome. I would assume that because you've partnered with both NVIDIA and AWS, is there like a partner page that folks can go click on to learn more about that?
There is, on our site, there is a tab for partners, and we do have an AWS partner page where you can view case studies, you can read a little bit more about our integrations with AWS. And so that would be another great place to explore how we work together.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate y'all coming on with us today. Gotta say, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what folks are going to use the technology for. I look forward to reading some of those case studies here after I get the opportunity to do so. And I look forward to our paths crossing in the future. For the rest of our audience, please bear in mind there are a ton of other shows. We do have our weekly AWS On Air show, as well as Lockdown, Game Day, and a variety of other shows that are absolutely just as action-packed as this, with hosts far better than I am. And we are absolutely here for you, the audience, to help answer your questions and help you get things done. Again, my name is Adrian. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Hey, Todd. Welcome back.
Welcome back as well.
That was awesome. I love that Adrian's always like, oh, there's hosts better than I am, but there's no one better than Adrian.
I was going to say the same thing. He always cuts himself short. He's a great host. I love working with Adrian.
It's a self-deprecating humor. We love it. So now for my favorite part of the show, maybe for the part that is why some people tune in this long. We've got Jeff Barr joining us to tell us all about his favorite news that was released in the past week.
Yeah, let's bring him on. Let's get Jeff Barr. It's been a while since I've talked to him. I'm eager to say hi.
Me too.
Todd, Gigi, great
Jeff.
to see you both.
How's it going?
Really good. I'm on Vashon Island outside of Seattle this morning. I got up at 4:30 and I walked down to the water taxi. I actually did grab a pumpkin spice latte on the waterfront.
Ooh.
I managed to talk the barista into giving me the extra cream that they made, because they made like enough for 3 and I only had 1, so I got like extra cream, which was totally cool.
What is that like without the espresso? Is it just a pumpkin pie in liquid form?
It's just like whipped cream, pumpkin flavored.
Okay, that's
Perfect,
pretty good.
perfect breakfast at 6 a.m.
Yeah, that'll keep you going till like 8 a.m. at least.
I hope so. And then it's funny, Todd, you said your dear friend, but as I got off the water taxi and I was walking over to my place, and there actually was literally a deer on the road. And I have a picture, but I'm not set up to share it. But you said dear friend, I thought, oh, I saw that deer up the road. So
Introduce yourself, and now you have a dear friend too.
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, my camera, sometimes we get deer running through our place in the middle of the night. So
that is awesome.
Hey,
yeah.
Jeff, what do you think about the segment today? This was actually an AWS goodie not so long ago before, and we were able to bring him on the show and show a version 2.0, some enhancements that we've made.
It was super cool to see it in action and just to see how it all works. And, it's taken me a while to actually really, I think, feel comfortable with genAI. Like, I totally appreciate it as a technology, but something I realized literally last night was, as a programmer and a builder, like, for like really 50 years, I've been learning like everything you do with code, it's like you have to be as accurate and precise and to the point as possible, and to make something that actually works. And then when you do genAI, that doesn't matter as much. You can be a little bit kind of fast and loose with the prompts, and you have a typo or two, or it doesn't make full logical sense. It's okay. It's faster just to put the prompt in and get a result than to than to backspace and say what you really meant. And getting myself past that mental block is still going to take some time, but it was kind of a neat kind of self observation last night. Okay, it's the precision I thought I had to have that I don't need anymore, that I need to talk myself out of.
Yeah, I totally know what you mean by this sort of like GenAI whiplash, right? When I was first introduced conceptually, I mean, I've heard of transform technology, I've heard of like the innovations in AI, and I was sort of aware of it, but I was a developer. So I was building apps and I was building web applications. Didn't really have a lot of interaction with it, but then it became the thing, right? And everybody had to get on and to know about it. It took me some time. And then all of a sudden these concepts started to solidify. And then I started to understand like, oh, I could do that. I could do this. And I think the generative AI application builder is just another way that you can sort of just take it to the next level, learn, say, oh, there's more I can do here. And this is how it actually works. And here's how I interact with Bedrock through LangChain and do all these things. And so it's cool to see it mature and grow and people start to get the hang of it. But yeah, that was part of your AWS. You got for us today?
Okay, let's see. I've got a couple really cool things. So the first one is one new API for Amazon S3. And so this one builds on something called S3 Access Grants, which I really actually didn't know a whole lot about before this morning. But the idea is you can use these access grants to create permissions to let your IAM users and roles access S3, while also kind of wrapping up Identity Center in. And you can do stuff like mapping your corporate identities that you already have to a level of permission. And it's a great way to actually scale your ability to manage permissions. So the idea is you create this, and this is not new. You create this thing called an access grant instance in a region, and then you create individual access grants. It can be either all of your S3 or a bucket or some scope part of a bucket or individual objects. Mm-hmm. And then you put an IAM role for that access grant, and you then call this function on the access grant called get data access, and it gives you a set of temporary credentials just so you can use just to access some data. So this is not new. This is all, but this is super, super cool when you think of like you're like a large complex organization. You got a bunch of data, and the ins and outs of being really good with permissions are starting to like get a little bit difficult because of the scale and complexity of what you do. So access grants are already there. But the cool thing that we just added is this brand new API. It is called List Caller Access Grants. And so you call it either with an IAM user or through some IAM identity. And what it does is it gives you a list of all the buckets, the prefixes, and objects that the caller can actually access. So why this is neat, and this actually turns out to feed into my next item, is you can now build S3 apps that only will, so maybe you have an app and you need your user to pick, these are the things I'd like to operate on. But you don't want them to even know about things that they're not allowed to operate on. So by using this API in your app, you can say, here's all the stuff that your admin has said you can see, and then pick the subset of that you actually want to work on. That's cool. So this is this new API, List Caller Access Grants, lets you do this really cool insight into your permissions, and we'll have Nick drop a link to our what's new in that. So it turns out, and I just happened to pick things that were related. We just launched this thing called a storage browser for S3. This is an alpha release of a brand new open source component you can plug into your web apps, and it lets authorized users browse, download, and upload stuff to S3, all from within their app. It's part of AWS Amplify. But the cool thing is it actually makes use of this access grants API, the list caller access grants. So you can now build web apps that run on behalf of some logged in user, and they will only let the user choose amongst the stuff that they actually really have access to. So kind of nice small component. It is it's available in open source. It's on GitHub. It's kind of alpha preview level, but that's the best time for new users to get in there and start using it and giving us feedback and sending pull requests and all those good things.
Jeff, and if I had to guess, this is one of those things that came from customer feedback. Let's make this easier for us.
It sure looks that way. In fact, if you go to the GitHub repo for the storage browser, you can actually see the what I call the RFC for the actual component. Nice. So it sure looks like it started from some customers saying we'd like to be able to to browse just the stuff that our users have individual access to.
Awesome.
And my third cool thing is, turns out this is also about permissions. And I had no goal in mind. I literally just in the morning, I open up the what's new, and I look for 4 things that kind of catch my eye, that are interesting and helpful, and that don't take too much in the way of my figuring it out or explaining it. So I'm sure our audience already knows about DynamoDB. Like everybody knows about DynamoDB, so I won't explain that part. But the cool thing is we now have a preview of what's called ABAC, which is short for Attribute-Based Access Control. And what this is, it's a way for our users to set up and use authorization based on tags that are attached to users and roles and other AWS resources. So it lets the permissions be very, very scalable and fine-grained. So maybe you have some users that are devs, and they can get to some instances and maybe some EBS and some DynamoDB. So you can set up some permissions and say the only thing that these devs using the dev users can get to are things that have a tag with a value of dev in it. Mm-hmm. And then maybe you have a separate set of ops people, and then they can only get the stuff that's labeled as production. Now, if you're doing DevOps, then you have to do something a little bit more fancy. But if you have devs and you have ops that are separate, then you could definitely use the attribute-based access control. This is all existing. It's in a lot of different parts of AWS. But the cool thing is we just announced a preview of this for DynamoDB. And so you can do attribute-based access control for DynamoDB. I believe it's for tables. I didn't actually have time to sign up for the preview, but I'm guessing it's for tables and probably for some other DynamoDB objects as well. The link in the what's new actually lets you request access to this brand new preview. Awesome. So those are cool ways to manage permissions better. I know that doing permissions right is work for our users, but I think we're always doing things to make it easier and safer and hopefully more understandable and scalable as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's what I gather is it sounds like we're getting a lot of customer feedback as always, specifically about security and access controls when it comes to data that's something in S3, but also DynamoDB, potentially other databases eventually. Also, you never know where this ends up going, but customers have opinions about what they need to be able to give people access to, and we're acting on that, which is cool.
Yeah, it seems to me that it used to be role-based access was all through the front door. Can you get through the front door as a front-end thing? Like, do you have permission to log in or not, or what could you see on that front end based on your role? Yeah. Now it sounds like we're moving closer to the data layer, like the further deeper down the stack. So now we're going to have role-based access even at the data layer. And I think that's going to be super valuable when we start doing more data-driven applications and more centric AI applications that are going to really depend on what role you are and what you can see. So I think that's a really clever thing.
I think so.
That's a nice way to put it, Todd.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff, thanks for coming on. Go get some sleep.
Yes.
I wish. I wish. I'm getting ready for some AWS events in South America the coming weeks. So still got to get my content together. But I actually used AI to make sure that I did some Spanish translations for my presentation. And then I was talking to my son last night, and he's like, make sure you actually are using Argentinian and Peruvian Spanish versus Spanish. And I actually threw my whole PDF into AI and said, tell me if I'm using kind of the right variety of Spanish, and got some really, really cool. My phone will just not shut up here. Okay, hold on just one second. Okay. All right. But I used AI to help me make sure I was using the right mix of kind of formal and colloquial, and make something appropriate for each of my target audiences, which audiences always appreciate when you fine tune your content for them, and it's clearly not just generic. So I looked at AI, made it really easier to do that and more fun. And my failure to ever learn Spanish is still kind of notwithstanding, but
haunting you.
We'll go get some practice. Hey, safe travels, Jeff. We'll see you again next week.
Awesome.
In the next show.
Bye, Jeff. All right. So I love talking to Jeff. That's always so fun.
Great. We can talk to Jeff for a long time.
It feels like such a privilege. He's just fun. He's so cool. That's so exciting that he's going to South America and presenting on all sorts of topics to all sorts of people. Next week, though, we are presenting on all sorts of topics to all sorts of people watching on Twitch. we are going over all sorts of different new things with SageMaker.
Yeah, SageMaker is one of those pivotal services, one of those foundational services. We were talking about solutions and versus service, and SageMaker is one of them. And they are growing and expanding all kinds of new stuff and folding new things into SageMaker. So definitely tune in next week to learn what's new in SageMaker. What else we got coming? Hey.
And it's us again next week. So hope you're not tired of our voices, because we are here again next week, and we're going to be the ones learning about these new features on SageMaker with you all. So please return. And as it's coming up on the banner, come see us. We will be at reInvent this year. The whole AWS On Air team will be at reInvent this year. Register. It's time. We're going to tell you every week from now until December. Register for reInvent 2024. It's going to be an awesome year.
Start creating a game plan. You can go to the reInvent website today, and you can look at the session catalog that's been published so far. You can favorite them. You can start building out your game plan. What do you want to learn? So definitely go register for reInvent. We'll be there. I'll be doing a workshop on solutions, which is our topic today. So come check that out. But I'll see you next week. Start practicing your trumpet. I want to see these skills before reInvent.
Maybe we'll start the show with a little jam band. We'll see. We'll see everyone next week. Catch us here, AWS On Air, same time every week. What is it? 1 p.m. Pacific time?
12 p.m. Pacific.
12 p.m. Pacific time to 1 p.m. Pacific time. I'm on the East Coast. It's time for me to log off.
All right. Have a good weekend, everybody.